John is back, and John, this is, you know, I mean, all week we sort of watched that track.
Yeah.
It shifted east, it shifted back west, and then went east again, and now here we are, and it seems to be to the point in time where those models, the Hurricane Center, are like, okay, this is the window we have, and it is getting, you know, that it's getting skinnier because they have a pretty good idea now that our area is going to be impacted in a great way.
There are planes flying all the time now, so they're sampling the atmosphere extensively, and it's clear that the hurricane is on the very western edge of the high-pressure ridge that's steering it. So it is going to start turning north very shortly, northwest, and then eventually just due north. And the confidence level from the Hurricane Center and the track is high. Yes, some of the computer models continue to suggest a slight nudge to the west, but as I mentioned earlier, it would take a major motion to the west to give us any benefit from a westward motion at this point. So it's pretty certain that we are going to get a hurricane over the next 24 hours here. You know, hopefully we get a little less of a hurricane and not a, you know, the hurricane that is forecast. Intensity forecasting is still kind of a tough nut, and there are still issues that could occur, but high confidence in the fact that a 60-mile wide hurricane influence will be moving closer to us over the next 24 hours. So you should be at this point finishing up all preparations. The chance of being out and about during the overnight tonight is lessening as we see this storm begin to lift northward. Our wind speeds will start to increase, making it hazardous driving conditions. Plus, during the later night period tonight through tomorrow morning, we're going to see an increase in our tornado risk as well. So there will be these feeder bands from the storm starting to lift northward, increasing our threat. It's time to finish it all up and start to get into your final destination location and button it up. So the location of the storm is about where it's expected to be. The storm is still recovering from the interaction with Cuba. The wind speeds have remained unchanged, consequently. Central pressure is lowering. Consequently, expect to see the storm intensify over the course of the next 12 to 36 hours, I think, before making landfall. The storm itself will probably gain at least Category 4 status. We'll see, maybe even higher than that. Like I said, intensity forecasting is very difficult. I'm afraid my computer is freezing again. Steve, would you please? Thank you. We are looking at a northward motion of the storm commencing certainly pretty soon, a northwestward motion, and then around daybreak, after it moves through the Florida Keys, it will turn more due north. And as it heads due north, it will get very, very close to the west coast of Florida, possibly making landfall just to our south, possibly making landfall right over us. I'm going to switch clickers and see how we do here. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate that. So expect to see the timing of this storm kind of play out like this. Saturday at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll start to see the increase in wind speeds begin in earnest. We'll start to see tropical storm to hurricane force winds at that time. And then as we move closer to the evening hours, to the time sun is setting, that's when we'll likely start to see the winds start to pick up significantly. The way a hurricane works is that around the very center of the eye, you get the strongest, fastest winds. And then as you move away from the eye, your winds drop off pretty quickly. So what you'll see is you'll notice the winds starting to pick up just a little bit over the course of the afternoon on Saturday, or Sunday rather, and then you'll get into Sunday night, and then as we get closer to where the eye makes landfall and gets closer perhaps to Sarasota, Manatee, Hardee, DeSoto counties, you'll notice a quick spike in the wind speeds as that eye gets closer. And we will be with you 100% right through that period, tracking it on radar, letting you know what to expect and what's going to occur right straight through tomorrow night, through Monday morning, right straight through the next 24 to 36 hours, and we'll be with you during the recovery effort as well. So this storm system makes it close to us, possibly as a Category 4, possibly as a Category 3, producing a storm surge that could be significant. The eye of the storm could, right where it makes landfall, produce a storm surge that could be in excess of 10 feet. So exactly where it makes landfall on the coast is extremely important. And that's one of our questions. Right now, we'll go with anywhere from 6 to 8 foot storm surge, possibly 10-foot storm surge. But I'll tell you what, where it makes landfall, especially if it's on a concave section of coastline, you could have a 10 to 16-foot storm surge, not out of the question. And we're talking about wind speeds during the overnight, tomorrow night, starting at about this time right straight through the early morning hours, probably in excess of 100 miles an hour, maybe even higher than that. So you need to be in a safe location and make sure that everything is buttoned up. At this time, you need to find where your safe room will be. Go ahead and make that decision now before you start to see the storm system get closer and closer and closer and the anxiety level goes up. Get everything ready. Find your safe room. Make sure everything is secure and safe in the location where you will be hunkering down. I would suggest a closet, an interior room away from windows. A bathroom is a good choice. Like I said, the closet is a good choice. Make sure that over the next, tonight and through tomorrow morning, you stock that safe location with the emergency radio, your cell phone app. You can watch us live streaming on your cell phone if you need to, if you lose other types of power. Charge your laptops so that your laptops can charge your phone. That'll give you a prolonged period of good phone service if the towers stay up. Text messaging, always a good choice. If you have bicycle helmets or if you have football helmets, put those in your safe room as well. A supply of water, a supply of food, that sort of thing. We just need to prepare for the worst, right? Then expect the best. The eye of the storm is, to me, structurally becoming better. You're having large thunderstorm activity where the eye is tapping into the warmer waters. And as it spins around, we'll start to see those stronger bands, I think, wrap completely around the system, an indication of an intensifying, deepening hurricane. And as it moves up toward the Keys, I think we'll probably see the strength of the storm approach to perhaps as much as a Category 3 or 4. Locally, everything is very quiet. We have a few scattered showers around. The tornado watches that we have seen popping up are for areas south of us, though we could certainly see some of those popping up during the overnight as these storms start to lift northward, and certainly tomorrow afternoon as well. Forecast calls for this entire system to really envelop the peninsula of Florida. The tropical storm force winds extend outward from the center of this storm almost 200 miles in some of the thunderstorms that are occurring in the northeastern quadrant. And the hurricane force winds around the center of the storm extend out 70 miles. I mean, you think about it, 70 miles, it's a long distance. And if you go side to side, you're talking 140 miles from one side to another. Let's just talk a little bit about what it's like if we did indeed have the passage of the eye over us. Like I said, you'd get that sudden, sharp increase in wind speeds. But then after those winds just rattled the building, you'd notice the winds die down. That would mean you're in the eye of the storm. And the eye of the storm is a fair distance across. At that time, when those winds go calm, you are not to leave your safe room. Remember this tomorrow, should the need arise, and we will be with you to let you know exactly what's going on with that. You will see the winds picking up again from the opposite direction if you exit the eye onto the southern part of the eye wall. That's why you are told not to leave your home or your safe room once you're in it tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, until you are given the official word to do so. But just remember that. It's a long way off yet. Things still could change just a little bit. We've seen that happen in previous storms. I'm just saying that the confidence in this model track is high, and we need to continue to, of course, be vigilant and remember that. Here's the European model. Again, its forecast track is disconcerting, to say the least. It has been a very good and reliable model in the forecasting of this particular storm, and the Hurricane Center is weighting it heavy in their forecast track. That said, a lot of the computer guidance is now settling in on this sort of a track up the west central coast of Florida. Some models are a little further to the west, some models a little further to the east, but this general flow of the storm up the west coast of the state of Florida is gaining a high confidence. So we'll remember that. Taking a look at the moisture available for rainfall, again, I continue to show this because it's significant, especially to those people who live in areas that were flooded by the last heavy rain event we got. You could get that again this time, and that flooding could even be more extensive possibly as the storm system lifts north. The amount of water available for moisture for rainfall becomes intense, and so we're talking about perhaps some 10, maybe even higher, maybe some isolated pockets of 20-inch rainfalls as this storm system lifts northward. So as it lifts northward, there's really nothing to stop it from tapping into these warm waters of the Florida Straits. You know, this model looks at the ripping winds aloft, the winds that tear apart hurricanes, that don't allow them to strengthen, and all of that is kind of far removed from us. You know, it may see a little eventually, a little bit of that as it lifts north into where the trough was previously, but basically there's nothing to stop it from keep intensifying. And the forecast models for wind speeds have continued to show stronger winds across the Sun coast. Tropical storm force winds are 100% certainty at this point, according to these models. And the Hurricane Center is also upping the chances for hurricane force winds across our region from what just yesterday was about 50% to now in this area of dark kind of purplish color, approaching the 100% chance. All rainfall, again, a big problem. I showed you that on precipitable water will be in an area that will favor some very heavy rainfall across the region. And a lot of our rivers and streams have flood warnings right now because of the thought that down the road, these catchment basins around these rivers and streams, the Myakka, the Peace, the Little Manatee, all getting a lot of heavy rainfall and creating the potential for some localized flooding. Thunderstorm activity, again, tornadoes will be a risk with this system as well. Another reason to identify now what your safe room would be. And power outages are becoming a higher and higher chance for our area. Right now, areas in inland locations, and I'm sure I'll see this extend closer to the coastline with time, have an excellent chance of seeing major power outages that will take days, if not weeks, to correct. So it's a very bad situation for us, and we're all going to get through it together. Over the next 24 hours, we'll watch showers and thunderstorms increase, the threat of tornadoes increase during the overnight tonight. Tomorrow, when you wake up, you'll notice the wind speed significantly increased. And then as you head into the evening hours, even early evening hours, it's going to get worse. And the wind speeds are going to pick up, and you're going to notice hurricane force winds building as we get into the nighttime hours with the winds howling, sideways rain, downpours, lots of thunder, and lots of lightning. It's going to be a very stressful time. We will be with you 24/7 on air, letting you know what's going on. So download that First Alert app onto your phone so you can stream us if you lose power, and we will track on radar exactly where that system moves, how it's moving, what the wind speeds are like, and we'll all get through this together, and we will rebuild Sarasota should that be necessary, and Manatee County. Over the next several days after the storm system lifts north and we start to see the sun return across the area, we'll be dealing with that river flooding and the low-lying flooding for a couple of days for sure, and then we'll eventually start to return to sunny skies and clear conditions. Back to you guys.